On April 21st, 1989, the Tiananmen Square Protests begin in Beijing. In 1987, reform-minded Communist Party leader Hu Yaobang was deposed. Hu died in 1989. 6 days later, Chinese students gathered at Tiananmen Square in Beijing to commemorate Hu and protest the authoritative policies of China's communist government. What started as a small demonstration soon turned into a massive movement, with tens of thousands joining in. For weeks, the protesters occupied the square, calling for democratic reforms and an end to corruption. But on June 3rd, Chinese troops began forcibly clearing Tiananmen Square, using tanks and live ammunition. Hundreds of protesters were killed, and thousands were arrested in this brutal crackdown. The events of Tiananmen Square in 1989 sparked global outrage, leaving a scar on China's history. Perhaps the most famous moment of the Tiananmen Square protests was the so-called Tank Man, who brazenly stood in front of a column of tanks leaving the square on June 5th, the day after the massacre ended. As the lead tank maneuvered to get past him, the man shifted his position to block the tank's path, forcing the tank to stop to avoid running him over. It has become one of history's most iconic images and a symbol of courageous protest. The identity of the tank man is still unclear, and his fate after the incident is unknown. There are many conflicting theories. The Chinese government has made few statements about the event and, not surprisingly, has censored the footage and photographs. In the year 2000, Mike Wallace interviewed then-Chinese President Jiang Zemin on 60 Minutes. In the interview, Jiang claimed that the tank man was never arrested and stated, "I don't know where he is now." Jiang went on to point out in the interview that the tank stopped and did not run the man over, emphasizing the Chinese government's argument that the incident is evidence of the humanity of the country's military. A life-size sculpture of the Tank Man was unveiled in 2019 on the 30th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square Massacre at Liberty Sculpture Park in California's Mojave Desert, east of Barstow, along Interstate 15. It stands alongside other sculptures that serve as memorials to casualties of oppression, with particular emphasis on those who have suffered at the hands of Communist China. An inflatable sculpture of the Tank Man appeared a few weeks earlier in Taiwan's capital, Taipei, outside the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, one of the island's most visited tourist attractions. An annual memorial event for Tiananmen Square was held in Hong Kong each year on June 4th, beginning in 1990, the first anniversary of the massacre. 150,000 people were reported to have attended that first event. 180,000 reportedly attended the 30th memorial event in Hong Kong in 2019. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and as the Chinese government has cracked down on Hong Kong, the memorial event was banned in 2020 and each year since. The events at Tiananmen Square remain a dark chapter in China's history, and the communist government continues to heavily censor any mention of the protests. Today, the world remembers the bravery and sacrifice of those who stood up for their beliefs, even in the face of violence and oppression. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 753 BC, according to tradition, twin brothers Romulus and Remus established the city of Rome. In 1836, during the Texas War for Independence, Sam Houston defeats Santa Anna at the Battle of San Jacinto. In 1918, the World War I German flying ace known as the Red Baron is shot down by the Allies. In 1926, Elizabeth II, the United Kingdom's queen for more than 70 years, is born in London. In 1930, a fire kills 322 inmates at the Ohio Penitentiary in one of the worst prison disasters in U.S. history. In 1980, Rosie Ruiz is declared the winner of the Boston Marathon, but is later stripped of the win for cheating. In 2016, Minnesota-born musician Prince dies at age 57 after overdosing on fentanyl. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. Which nation first used poison gas as a weapon in World War I? France, Britain, Russia, or Germany? Think you know the answer? Drop your guesses in the comments below. Find out if you're right next time on Today in History.